Welcome to Season 2 of the Get Out of Teaching podcast, presented by Larksong Enterprises. I'm your host, Elizabeth Diakos. On the show, we'll look at the who, what, where, why, when, and how of moving out of your education career and into a life you love. In this season, we'll meet ex-teachers who have taken their hobbies and passions from outside of education and created a new career for themselves. We'll talk to people who can support and inspire us as we make the transition and work on identifying the legacy we want to leave in the world. So come along for the ride as we get out of teaching. Episode 18. Hi everyone and welcome to the show. And on today's show, I'm very pleased to be interviewing Michelle Wasserman. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Michelle.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so Michelle, tell us your story. What got you into teaching in the first place?
So I became an art teacher because I wanted to be an artist. And to be quite honest, my mom said, oh, you want to go into art and you want to study art. You're not going to make a living in that. You need something with some stability and security, and you should go into teaching. And I remember, being like 16 and looking at her and saying, Mom, I have no patience for kids. I can't do this. And then my high school, my 9th through 12th grade, we were right next to the elementary school. And so I took a couple study halls. I would take one study hall a day, and I went and volunteered at the elementary school because we had a really nice program for that. So I volunteered my junior year in the kindergarten and my senior year in the 5th grade. And I found I did really like being around the kids. Like they just bring a certain energy and a certain joy. And so I thought, okay, well, I'll be an art teacher, and then I can do art and I can be around the kids and that'll be great.
Okay. And so how did that pan out?
Well, I've been at it for 23 years now. So I guess I'm, either I like it a little bit or I'm stubborn, maybe a little of both. But I went and I got a degree first in illustration because I wanted to be a well-rounded artist. I figured I was going to have to teach a wide array of things, from sculpture to watercolor to drawing. And so I needed to really go get a good grounding in that. So I did that, intending to then go on and get my certification and my master's degree, which is pretty much what I ended up doing. So I spent the first 6 years of my teaching career in middle school, and I did kind of like it. And I ended up moving to elementary school because a new elementary school had opened in my neighborhood, and I had a new baby, and he was going to go to the daycare in the neighborhood, and I wanted to just be close by. It was a nightmare transition, to be quite honest. Yeah.
What happened?
So I went from teaching, 150, 180 students a day or a week to having about 1,100 students.
That is a lot.
So yeah, it was a 4-day rotation with 55 students per class, and the classes were 55 minutes back to back. So I'd literally have a group of 2 1/4 classrooms coming out while the other one was coming in.
Oh my God, that's like a
I stayed there for 2 years. Yeah, it was insane. It was really insane.
When my father was at school, his class sizes were around about the 50 mark. That's crazy. Okay, yeah. Wow. I can see why that would have been incredibly stressful.
Yeah, that was really, really stressful. And we ended up deciding to move to a different part of town to be near our religious community. And I ended up going to a different school district, and it was a really small district, which was nice for me because I live in Houston, which is a big city. And so this small district had a small town feel, and I got to start an arts program. So I felt like I was really building something from the ground up. I was bringing something to children who wouldn't have had it otherwise, and that was really fulfilling.
And how long did you do that for?
I stayed at that campus for 7 years. I ended up growing the program. They had 5 campuses in the entire district, so like 3,000 students across all of K through 12. And they grew the program through a lot of my hard work, a lot of my outreach, and they moved it to the upper school, like the 5th and 6th graders. I taught 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. And then the year that I left, they finally added it to the primary grades, the pre-K, kindergarten, and first. So,
Right.
yeah.
So when you left, where did you go after that?
I went back to the district that I started in, and I went there because it was better pay and it was better benefits. But it was more preps. I currently have 5 preps and a 5-day rotation. I had as much as a 6-day rotation before. And it's just
explain, because that's
yeah.
peculiarly US terminology that you're using there. Just can you explain what you mean by a prep?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so basically I have roughly 600 students, and my current schedule is I see kids either on just Monday or just Tuesday. What I've done in the past is each day is assigned a number on the calendar. So it'll be given a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. And so the kids will rotate through all their different specials classes. So their art, their music, their PE.
Okay. And
yeah.
so is a prep a year level for you? Is that what that means?
Prep is like a lesson plan, like how many different levels I have to teach.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, because they are separated out by age, which I guess you do multi-level in Australia sometimes, but we don't so much here.
We would still have that. I would just say, I'm teaching 5 different year levels or something like that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay. So now, where are you at now? Because you're still teaching.
I am still teaching.
Here we are on a Get Out of Teaching podcast. So tell us about that.
Well, I started transitioning out of teaching last year. So I had learned about the whole world of freelance, and I didn't even know what that was. I didn't know there were virtual careers. I didn't really understand how I could be my own boss and have my own business without having some sort of a brick and mortar. And when I found out about it, I thought, okay, so this is like one of those multi-level marketing things, right? Where I have to sell to a friend who sells to a friend. And it's not. It's a legitimate field. But I talked to so many friends, including so many of my coworkers, and they have no idea that this even exists. Like, you make money online? Like, do you sell leggings? No, I don't sell leggings. So I learned a bit about it, and I learned how to become a virtual assistant. And so I started that in March, and it was pretty much the day my first client signed the contract was the day we went on lockdown in the US for COVID. So it was really, really interesting timing, but that's kind of my thing. Like, interesting timing. Yeah, like our house that we're in now, we've been in for 3 years. When Hurricane Harvey hit Houston, the day it hit was the day we closed on our house. So I just specialize in unique and interesting timing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so you started your business at the start of the year, and COVID sort of was beginning to have an impact.
Yeah.
Surely did it make it easier or harder? I guess you were home with your how many children do you have now?
I have 2 children.
Okay, so you were home, you had to homeschool, you were still teaching, and you were running an online business. You must have Zoom fatigue big time.
Oh, yeah. The fortunate thing for me in the spring, we were finishing off our last marking period of the school year. So we really had, 8 or 9 weeks to go and be virtual. And because I'm in the arts and it was special, I didn't have to do a lot of the synchronous teaching. So I didn't have to get on Zoom a whole lot. I did have to prepare lessons and leave them in the online platform and go in and leave a bunch of comments, but it was a little more flexible, which was good because my daughter was in 2nd grade and I had to literally sit next to her for every assignment. She didn't know how to type into the computer or, submit pictures of her work or any of that. So I really needed to be super hands-on with her. my other son, my son's in high school, so he's
Right.
fine.
He was coping okay with the online space.
Yeah. And then my husband's a teacher as well. So we really, once we got into the fall semester and we were going full virtual, all of us, yeah, we were all Zooming all over the place. And we literally had to be in the four corners of the house. It was kind of madness.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, a bit
Mhm.
crazy. So,
Yeah,
so how's the business going then? Because with all that happening in the background.
I know. It's a wild ride. So I took the summer off of teaching. I've done summer school the past 3 summers, and I didn't do it this summer because I wanted to focus on my business.
Mm.
So I grew the freelancing business with some more virtual assistants, and I thought because I was in the arts and I was, pretty good at organizing things, that that was something I could help people with. So I started working with creative entrepreneurs, like people who make things and sell them. So I was working with a lady who sold her own bath bombs. Like she made her own bath bombs and bath salts and body scrubs and all kinds of things like that. And I was doing her emails, the emails she'd send out to sell products and to have promotions. And I was doing some of her back end business work as well. Um, yeah, that's most of it with her. And then she ended up referring me to a friend of hers. So I guess, I did well enough with that. She referred me to a friend of hers who's a fashion designer. And with that fashion designer, the main thing she wanted me to do was write emails to her email list. And she said, your emails are really, really good. They're very powerful.
Mm.
And, I knew I liked writing. I had done poetry as a kid, but I hadn't really thought about that aspect of it. And she even a couple times kind of dropped the subject in my lap, like, could you maybe by tomorrow have this? And I'd go, well, I'll try to throw something together. And I'd throw it together. And she said, this is amazing. This is exactly what I was looking for. So I started thinking about it. And, I've signed my contract. I have to go back for the fall. But what can I do to really make a go of this and make it so year 23 is my last year in the classroom? And I found a course online um, for moms, specifically marketed to moms who wanted to be freelance writers and who wanted to do copywriting. And I honestly didn't know what copywriting was. I thought, oh, copyright, that means like someone can't steal my artwork, right? They need to pay me for permission to use it. And that's not what it is.
So
It's
can you explain to the
yeah.
listeners what do you actually do now?
So what I actually do is I write emails and I write the words that go into web pages to help sell programs for coaches, to help sell for course creators, to help sell a variety of things. But I really found as I started writing that I connected a lot with coaches because that's kind of the background of teaching. We are coaches. And I approached you and I talked to you through Facebook because when I mentioned something on Facebook about, oh, yes, I'm a copywriter, I had people just messaging me and commenting like, what's copywriting? What's freelance? What is this thing? And how do you do it? And can you send me information? And can you send me information? I was like, oh my gosh, well, I'm already teaching a full-time job and I'm doing copywriting. And no, I can't keep up with all this.
Yeah, so just for the listeners, that conversation took place in the Get Out of Teaching Facebook group, and
Yeah.
there was a lot of interest because, like you said, people don't really know what some of the possibilities are that are out there.
Yeah.
And so they were really interested in what you do. And so we need to schedule that. We're going to try and live stream into the group and have a chat in the group. I think that'd be really great. But I said come on the podcast as well. So that's why we're here.
Yeah.
So what would
And
you say you brought from what you knew in education into that role, into the role of a copywriter? And are you still doing VA work as well?
no, I've ditched the VA work. My last VA client was the one that I was doing the emails for, and she said, but I need to do some things in my business to grow my list because they're not getting to enough people. And so I can't afford to invest in you. And honestly, she wasn't paying enough because as a copywriter, that's a premium service.
Mm.
So that is something that people will pay good money for. And can I go off on this tangent of what I get paid? Is that okay?
Yeah, go for it. I think people are really
Okay.
interested to learn that. And you're in the US, so you've got to, translate that into US dollars.
US dollars. Yeah. And I don't know how that translates into Australian money at all.
It's more than
Um,
that currency, definitely.
yeah. But so I have a client right now, and I'm writing her launch sequence. So what that means, she's like a life coach, a counselor, and she helps women to, find their purpose, find their joy, like kind of overcome some trauma and have happy relationships. So she's done a lot of one-on-one coaching and been very successful in that, and pivoted to that during COVID. And now she is launching a group coaching program. So in order to have a successful group coaching program, she's got to get people that want to enroll and want to pay her.
Mm.
So what I did is I wrote a landing page for her. So, I'm sure the listeners, they've gone in and they've signed up for something, maybe they saw something on Facebook and it took them to a link to like a website, and it said, oh, you can get this free this free PDF, whatever it is. Just drop your email here and your first name. And so you do that. And then what happens is you're subscribing to somebody's email list. And then you get a few different emails from that person, and you come to know them and like them and trust them. So you may not initially be looking to buy anything. You may be just taking them up on their free offer. But as you get to know them through their emails, they become a person that you trust. And so when you are ready to buy, they're a person you want to buy from.
Mm.
So I'm helping her, and I was able to read through her book a little bit and look at what she had written about her program. But I'm kind of the person who's always done this. Somebody has their writing, and I say, it would really be more clear if you break this up into about 3 paragraphs and you move this sentence over here, and could we substitute out that word? And just, maybe I'll just rewrite this. But I do some pretty heavy editing, and I've done that for friends and for my husband and for family pretty much my whole life. And this I'm doing a little more writing from scratch, but it just comes naturally.
A copy that for the emails, and then also on the landing page, and then this like the subscription page or whatever as well.
The sales page as well. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So that's a lot of writing. I know that because I've been doing it myself. So I totally appreciate how much work that involves. Okay.
Yeah.
So in terms of transferable skills that you brought, you said that you like to do that normally, but you were an art teacher. So this is really in the realm of an English teacher. So what are you doing stepping outside of your expertise? What's happening there?
Being big, bold, and audacious. It's honestly, as an art teacher and an artist, I'm creative. And this has been a wonderful creative outlet for me. And the first time I had a coach ask me if I wanted to write her sales page or her sales email, it was actually an email I wrote for her, and she ended up turning it into a sales page as well, and sending it out on Instagram. And so it was pretty big. But even just writing it, I just lit up from the inside. And it was that feeling, that creative high, that like when I'm making good art. And I don't want that taken away from my art, that I have to push to sell and to paint a certain way for clientele. But with the writing, it doesn't feel that way to me. It just feels really authentic, and it's really easy to find somebody's voice, because that's really where I come from as a teacher, as someone who's had to connect with thousands of kids. And I've taught well over 10,000, probably over 15,000 kids over the years. And I have to build that rapport instantly, and I have to keep it. No matter how many kids I see in a given day, each kid has to feel special and like they're special to me, to want to do work for me and work with me. And so that is what I bring into the copywriting. And that's what I give to my client, because I can listen to them and I can hone in on, what are you about? What do you like? How do you speak? And then that just kind of flows out my fingertips to the keyboard. and into the words. And the feedback I get time after time is, you sound like me, only better. That you said exactly what I wanted to say. And that's a high. Like, the money is great, but that is just, oh, wow. You don't get feedback like that in teaching. I mean, you do from the kids. They'll say, oh, you're the best teacher ever, and I love you, and I made this cute picture for you. And that's pretty great. But as far as your boss is telling you you're doing a decent job or wanting to reward you monetarily, that does not happen.
So how long do you think it'll be before you can replace your teaching income?
I'm really going full steam on this, and I'm determined to amp things up and be out by the end of the year.
Right.
You know,
Wow.
I don't plan to quit before the end of the school year, but I think I can say I won't come back after the summer.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
amazing. So do you mind me asking what you're earning as a teacher now, approximately?
Yeah. If I don't if I don't take taxes out of it, it's a little under 70,000,
Okay.
which
That's US dollars, of course. So
in US dollars, and that's probably not bad compared to some other states, but it's kind of ridiculous that 22 years experience, I have a master's degree, I have multiple certifications.
mm,
I'm working my tail off, and
mm,
it doesn't matter how hard I work. I'm not going to make more money as a teacher.
yeah.
So,
But with what you're doing now, you could actually, if you added in a few more clients, you could.
yeah.
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 Wow.
Like,
Wow.
the client right now, I did the landing page, I did the 5 email sequence and the sales page. And for that, she paid me 1100 US. And she paid that without batting an eyelash, and has already given me a little more work and is looking at working with me in the future. So that's encouraging. And then I've got to get out there and get some other clients. And then I'm also looking at, I just joined a program for learning how to build recurring revenue. So writing things or products like books or digital downloads or what have you, even a course of my own, and that can be sold. And so the beauty of it is I can put in the work, and I can put in my knowledge of marketing and writing
Mm,
and get that to sell, and then I can sell it many times over.
mm,
And so I can be sleeping and money is coming to me. I mean, not initially, because that just doesn't happen. There's no magic fairy,
yeah.
but after a time that'll happen.
Mm,
So I'm investing some in the training to help make that happen.
yeah. Great. So that was my next question, actually. What are the skills that you've brought with you, and what training did you need to do to get to be where you are now?
Yeah. Um, I think a lot of it, the bulk of what I have seen in any training I've been to, besides learning what entrepreneurship is and what a business model is and all of that, because I really didn't know. A
Mm,
year ago, I had no idea. Um, and now I'm looking at, making that my full-time thing. So that's kind of amazing. But the main thing is the mindset, is believing in yourself that you can do this, that you are valuable, that your time and your skills are valuable enough to charge, because no one's going to come to me and say, I think you're fabulous and I want to give you a load of money.
mm,
What they're going to do is say, oh, you've made this offer, I will accept. Now I will give you a load of money and you will give me something that I find valuable
mm,
in exchange for that money. But I have to be willing to put myself out there and use my personality and make those connections.
mm.
And sometimes the connections make connections for me. And that happens in teaching too. It's just a matter of kind of leveraging it and using that to build a clientele and to build a business. And there's nothing slimy or dishonest about it. I mean, I think that feels weird coming from a teaching background where we don't even negotiate our salary.
Mm,
Your salary is what it is. There's a pay scale, and you either sign the contract or you don't.
mm.
And here it's, I'm worth this and I'm going to charge it. Like that 1100, I'm going to be raising those rates within a month or two because I've got more experience now and
Yeah.
I've got more testimonials.
Mm. And I think that's really important to recognize that. I know a lot of people, well, not a lot of people. I've had a few people say to me, "Oh, but how can you charge for this? How can you charge to help people get out of teaching?
Mm,
Like, well, I have a lot of free content. I
yeah.
podcast that it's free, and there's a Facebook group that's massive, and there's free content in there, and I do a live pretty much every day that's free. You don't have to
Yeah.
do that stuff. And so when you get to the point where you feel like you trust me enough to pay me, you're paying for all of that other stuff as well as whatever else you get, in those conversations that we have. So I think it's really important for everyone, especially teachers, to
Yeah.
realize that this you can, you not just recognize the value that you bring, but also the worth that you have. That there is
Yes.
there is a dollar value on what you offer to the world, and
Absolutely.
and we need to get out of that mindset ourselves, that
Yeah.
we shouldn't be asking for money for this service, because we're teachers and we just give stuff away all the time, don't we?
And that's been a huge thing for me in the past year is my school has been championing growth mindset for quite a while with students, with mathematics, and I've done it in the art room a whole lot. Like, oh, you made a mistake. That's excellent. That is proof you are learning. We
Mm.
love to make mistakes in our art. And I tell this to the kids all the time. And I kind of had an epiphany, like, I need to tell this to myself. It is okay to make mistakes. It's okay to try new things. It's even okay to do something I've never done before. And if I fail at it, so what? Like right now, it's not that risky. I've got my teaching salary and it's still coming in. And so I can take a little bit of these risks.
And
But,
you're learning. It shows
and
that
I'm
you're learning.
learning.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely learning. And nobody expects perfection either.
Mm.
It's really funny. Like they just, even with the last emails I sent them to the client. I sent her the link so she could look at the Google Doc because that's what I do. I type it up as a Google Doc. I don't do any fancy technological stuff. I don't have to upload it to anything or worry about the formatting. I mean, I certainly have some skills for formatting from the art background, but I don't have to.
Mm.
That gets turned over to her virtual assistant.
Right. Yeah.
But I sent that out to her, and then I get the email back saying she's got feedback for me. And I'm just thinking, what if she hates it? And I've already told her from the outset, I'm not married to this work. I'm writing this in service to you and to what you do and to help promote your program because I know you're going to help people. And
Mm.
that's powerful. And so if you see something and it doesn't reflect who you are, if it doesn't sound like you, if it just doesn't feel right, you're going to tell me and I'm going to go back and edit that. And that's part of the process.
Mm.
And it's really an easy part of the process because it's not somebody saying, oh no, you've done a terrible job. You failed the children. It's just maybe we could swap out that word or that gift just doesn't suit me. I want a different one.
Yes. Yeah. That's great. Yeah, just that it's a lighter touch, isn't it? There's not that
Yeah.
earth-shattering nature to it all.
Oh yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. And here I've paid you a bunch of money and thank you for letting me do that because when you show up for clients who need your services, you are really giving them a service. It is something they need and it's something that you have to contribute to the world. And it's a lot like teaching in that you are contributing something valuable to the world. It's just you're being appreciated a lot more for it financially and in other ways.
Yeah. So if you had a client a week like that, you could easily cover your teaching income.
Oh yeah. If I did, 5 clients like that a month,
Mm.
then even having to set aside money to pay my own taxes because that is the other sticky part of it. Now I've got to look at
Mm.
setting aside income to pay my taxes. So right now I have a business account and every time I invoice a client and they pay me, it goes straight into my business account and all my business expenses come out of that account. So I keep that very, very separate from my regular paycheck.
Yeah.
And I'll continue to do that until it replaces my paycheck.
And your accountant is going to love you as well. for doing that.
Hopefully.
All right. So what
And
advice?
that's something I'm going to be hiring.
Yeah. Strongly recommended. I think it saved my marriage having an accountant. All right. So what if someone was feeling stuck, what advice would you give to them? Because you must have felt that yourself.
Mm-hmm. It's scary. It's really scary. Some of the best advice I've gotten is really sit down and think about what are some things that people always come to you for. Like if somebody says, "Oh, can I pick your brain about this?" Or, "You're really great at this," or "Could you help me with this?" or "Could you just have a look at such and such?" Just think about it. And I mean, maybe not all in one sitting. Maybe you write it out and you come back to it. And then when you do come back to it, find the things there that you enjoy doing. So things that people ask you about and know that you're good at and that you enjoy doing. And that's your expertise. And that's the kind of stuff that you can make a living selling. The other advice, and it's not really so much for mindset, but it's to network. It's to make connections. And Facebook is very, very valuable for that. You just get to know somebody. And I know we've all had those people where you type in a comment to something and someone goes, "Oh, would you like to buy my weight loss formula?" And I think, well, I just lost 20 pounds. Thanks for asking. Like, no, it's not like that. But it's somebody might ask, "Oh, how do I write such and such an email?" And so I might comment and say, "For my clients as a copywriter, I do X, Y, and Z." And I might leave a little bit of valuable advice. And then somebody that I don't even know, that I wasn't even responding to, might see that and might be looking for a copywriter or having a similar problem. And so then they're going to reach out to me and contact me. And stuff like that has happened.
Yeah. And I think that is such great advice, especially that's one of the things I when I'm helping teachers get out is not just your closest network, because they're probably teachers, but
Yeah.
like the next layer out. So maybe the partner of the teacher, or the friend, who they used to go to uni with or something, that might know someone who knows someone. So there's kind of, it's like the 3 or 4 degrees of separation. They're the people who can often really help you to progress, either to find a new job or to being in contact with other people who might be able to use your service if you're going to create a service-based business. So, Michelle, do you have any regrets about this decision that you made, like to do this?
One, I wish I'd done it sooner. Honestly, I wish I had known about this years ago. I had tried about 4, maybe 5 years ago. I was going to get out of teaching and I was going to go become a corporate trainer because I thought, oh, that's similar to teaching and that skill set will transfer over. But I couldn't think beyond a salaried position. So I thought I needed to go and get a job. And I just really had no concept of what freelancing is. And I think that's kind of becoming a part of my mission, and probably part of what I'm going to do with my recurring revenue is I especially would like to help teachers understand that you can be a freelancer, and what you can have is called time freedom, which is something as teachers we don't understand. And I know I, for one, went into teaching thinking I was a latchkey kid a lot, and I was home alone a lot in the summer and had to babysit my younger sibling. And I didn't want that for my kids. And so I thought, well, if I go into teaching, I'll have the same hours as my kids and the same vacation, and it'll be lovely. And my husband, I met him while teaching, and we thought, oh, this will be great. And honestly, even when we had the summers off, we did a couple road trips, and those were wonderful. But we're tired all the time. And when we're home, we're always bringing work home. And he's grading till all hours. He teaches Spanish. So teaching a language, there's a lot to do. a lot of grading work outside of our hours. And with this, I could conceivably work 20 hours a week. Um, if if you build up enough products or services to sell that are recurring, it could be 30 hours a month. I mean, it is really mind blowing. And I started to get a little taste of that in the COVID world, where my schedule was a little bit more flexible because I had to be on those 5 Zoom calls a day. But then the time between, I could actually go to the bathroom. I could have my coffee while it was hot. Like, it was insane.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So
I could.
if someone wanted to get in touch with you to use your service as a copywriter, what would they need to do? What's the best way to contact you?
So right now, the best way to contact me is probably through my email. And we can put that in the show notes. It's Michelle at Organized Creative VA. So VA stands for virtual assistant. I'm going to be doing a rebranding to focus more on the copywriting aspect, but that's my brand, that's my domain for now.
Right. Okay.
And I don't have a website up and running. I do have a Facebook business page and an Instagram, and those are both at the Organized Creative VA.
Okay. Excellent. All right. And so, Michelle, what would you say is the legacy that you want to leave in the world?
The first legacy is really for my kids. That I want my kids to know that you can grow up to do something you never even thought was a possibility. Your dream career does not need to exist at this moment in time, because the internet did not really exist when I graduated high school. I got my first email in college, and it was not like the email we have now. It was like little orange block letters on a black screen. It was a totally different experience. And so this is not something I could have conceived of. And also just that idea that you can be your own boss and you can grow skills as you're getting paid to grow them. That's phenomenal, and it's so empowering. And my daughter, she's 8, and she just absolutely loves it. She's like, Mom, I need your business cards. Are you going to make business cards? Because I need to pass them out to my teachers and my friends to give to their parents, because you are a business mom. And she thinks it's so great. My son's a teenager, so well, I guess it's kind of cool.
Yeah, I think it's wonderful when your kids see you being self-actualized. Like, they see you, scrambling up that slippery, shiny slope of Maslow's pyramid, and boring your way to the top of that, and see what it looks like to live a life that you love. I think that's an amazing legacy to leave.
Yes.
Go on. Sorry.
And just, that I can learn new things at any age. I can learn new things, and I can make a different choice for my life. So, yeah. Powerful.
All right. One final question. Have you got a favorite song, or a song that is meaningful to you in some way?
This was the hardest question for me, because I'm a huge Beatles fan.
Okay.
And I could pick almost any Beatles song, but that's not what I'm going to go with. I'm going to go with Life is a Highway. And Rascal Flatts remade that song. It was in the Cars movie.
Oh, okay. Yep.
But the original one was playing when I took my road test for my driver's license. And I thought that was kind of a good sign. And it was. I passed on the first try, so that was good. Yes. But, it's a highway. It's a journey. And I love that I'm still getting to choose where I go. So it's amazing.
Michelle Wasserman, thank you so much for coming on the Get Out of Teaching podcast today.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It was my pleasure.
I'm super excited, listeners, to let you know that this Friday afternoon, 4:30 Dallas time, that's the 13th of November, Friday the 13th, lucky for some, I will be recording a live stream into the Get Out of Teaching Facebook group featuring Michelle. She's going to be explaining some of her tips and strategies for setting up her own business and some of the things that both she and I wish we'd known a little bit earlier. That is going to be at 9:30 a.m. Melbourne time. So 4:30 p.m. Friday the 13th Dallas time, 9:30 a.m. Saturday the 14th of November Melbourne time. We'd love to have you join us. If you're not already a member of the Get Out of Teaching Facebook group and you'd like to join, just search it up. We'll have my team will be there ready to let you into the group. Just make sure you answer the qualifying questions so that we can admit you to the group. And we look forward to seeing you on that live stream. Take care, everyone. I will talk to you soon. Bye. You've been listening to the Get Out of Teaching podcast, presented by Larksong Enterprises, with your host, Elizabeth Diakos. Do you know someone else who could benefit from hearing more stories of hope and transition from teachers all around the world? Please take a moment to share this and other episodes via your podcast app. Each share helps me reach listeners just like you who can benefit from this content. The Get Out of Teaching podcast is proud to be part of the Experts on Air podcast network. For show notes and other resources, please visit larksong.com.au/podcast.